I think that Sven is very kiteable this game. The Omni Knight Repel does nothing to a Fiend's Grip, and Sven is who you want a Fiend's Grip in the first place, so I do feel a little bit concerned for this Navi lineup just by virtue of kind of Bane being a hero. Although Sven is very, very good against a Death Prophet because you use the armor buff and you can survive a lot easier in that Death Prophet ultimate, which presumably maybe that's. I mean, I don't. This Terrorblade pick is scary if you're. But then again, we've seen Terrorblade where it doesn't really matter who can deal with you on the enemy team. If you get enough lockdown, which they have tons, Terrorblade just shreds anybody that's locked down in front of him.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. It is a good point on the Sven that I didn't think about. Very good against the Death Prophet. AoE armor buff for the team is pretty incredible there if you can use it properly. But I'm inclined to agree. Now that I'm looking at this draft, that is the hallmark of a good Terrorblade game. He needs somebody to close the gap for him. And when you can smoke gank in the mid game, put Bane in the front, you see somebody, you Fiend's Grip, then he just jumps in and follows up. It's super easy. Damage is not the problem for Terrorblade. It's slowing you down and being able to get in your face to do the damage.
And I think he can even kill the Sven if Sven is Fiend's Gripped, and that's who he wants to Fiend's Grip on the Bane. So I really do think that they have the potential to kill the Sven very easily in these fights.
I worry it's a little melee heavy for Na'Vi. Like, Effect have a really good team against 4 melee. Sand King is incredible, Witch Doctor with the Coconut, and even Death Prophet. And for the most part, Terrorblade. Melee heroes want to be up in your face by virtue, so it just makes it a little bit easier for Terrorblade to turn and try and get up in there. So
and it looks like they're doing an aggro tri-lane on Terrorblade with Witch Doctor Bane TB aggroing into the Sven.
Interesting.
And an off lane Omni. They're not showing these lanes. That means that they're pretty committed to doing this aggro. That's exactly what they need to do. Is not show these lanes. That's one mistake that people make in pubs. Whenever you want to do an aggro, do like a Batrider against Enchantress, something BS like that, and totally screw somebody. You can't show the lanes until like 10 seconds before, because otherwise you're gonna have the enemy team's just gonna run to the opposite lanes, and then they can TP, and then you have to TP, and then all of a sudden the lanes are bad for you again. So they're not showing it. They might actually sacrifice 3 bounties for this, but it's worth it. Although they're actually going to get 2 bounties because Maiden's up here. I'm going to pick this one up. Actually, defend it first, Terrorblade.
Okay. So it looks like Kuman will be able to pick up 2. It's starting items. Doesn't look like anything stands out of the ordinary too much. We'll see the Omni Knight, the General. He'll be cutting the wave. We've seen this pretty consistently when offlaners feel like they can get away with it. It just gives them a couple of free last hits to start off the game.
What am I witnessing? Mid Terrorblade.
So you're right. It's a mid tri lane.
Bot.
They are going to play musical lanes here. So DP goes bot for now.
Oh, wait a minute.
But with 3
It's
mid.
Afterlife on Bane. I just realized this is an offlane Bane.
Mm-hmm. This is very peculiar. Not the way that we thought this would go. So it is still
safe lane DP.
Well, sort of a tri lane around the Terrorblade. But yeah, this is a core Bane being played here. And he's going to be in a little bit of trouble. Stun from Sven. They're going to have an Ignite to try to chase him down. There's the steal. King R on the way in. Burrow Strike will connect on 2.
From him.
They will survive. All right, good rotation from the Sand King. So dual lane mid, Terrorblade Witch Doctor versus Wisp Shadow Fiend. This is about as hipster as it gets. Uh-oh, up top, they are going to find the first blood, though. They turn onto the Ogre. So I missed the beginning of that. Looks like Crystal Eyes will get pushed back a little. But this mid lane is pretty crazy. It has a lot of potential for kill once a few levels come out, I think. It's sort of around the Metamorphosis cooldown, but
I feel like this favors the Shadow Fiend Wisp just because TB has such a low HP pool that he can just die to the Raise combo.
Yeah.
But then again, he does have a Wraith Band. Like, he's built tanky items right now, so got 12 armor. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, and I guess the Wisp, I mean, he doesn't have a stun, right? And we've seen that kind of be the opening combo that lets Shadow Fiend get that Raise hat trick at level 3. So DP versus Omni, this should be sort of a break even, I think. Like, Omni definitely gets some farm.
I think this favors Omni, actually.
But
I think it favors Omni.
Okay. DP definitely doesn't have to fear death. That's the main thing. Dendi, though, he may be fearing death. The Wisp rotated out. It's a 3-on-1, but he's going to get to this double damage rune, and King R cannot close the gap. Now it's a 3-on-1 the other way, but a double damage Shadow Fiend is in pursuit. Small speed advantage with the tether.
Pretty happy about getting that DD. He's gonna have some nice last hits now. Plus 53 damage, just like having full souls. He really needs these last hits too. He's getting pretty destroyed in this lane by the TB actually. I didn't think this would be so favored. I guess they're tri-laning though. And putting the Witch Doctor mid against the Wisp lane. This is actually an old classic that people used to do. This is it's just the fact that they can never really kill because you just throw the cask in there, and it's really devastating for the Wisp because he's always standing next to people. So
yeah.
Although with the TB it's a little weird, but people would do this. They'd literally just pick Witch Doctor and follow the Wisp. Although Wisp is stacking, so no matter what, Dendy's gonna get something out of this lane.
Yeah, and it's one of the things that Lil does pretty much every game. He finds efficiency no matter what. Sometimes it's in the form of kills, sometimes it's in the form of space created, and other times it'll be like this where he makes sure that his Shadow Fiend has reliable stacks to get over that hump. Afterlife really seems to be doing pretty well in this off lane, 9 and 4 in terms of last hits. Crystallize getting some decent last hits himself, but it's not perfect free farm, and you can see the power of the Enfeeble. It's level 2, making it a lot more difficult for him to last hit. As I say that, it looks like Afterlife will get turned on. Wisp shows up, and it is going to be that 3-on-1 chase down. Lil actually getting credit for the kill, but at the same time, it forces Dendy out of the lane. He's in the well healing right now. And I think it's worth it for Bane to die once or twice if he's putting this kind of pressure on and forcing rotations.
Yeah, for sure. This is another one of those scenarios where if he just sits there and gets nothing, then there's going to be totally free from Sven. Sven is getting quite a bit, but not as much as the Terrorblade. And Terrorblade is in the mid lane. He's not completely free farming, so Sven's 17 last hits aren't really that great. That's basically like the same last hits as the Death Prophet, who's in a 1v1 against the Omni, who's equal. So the Bane, despite not having these last hits, is forcing the Sven into like a 1v1 kind of last hit scenario by applying this kind of pressure instead of just having him free farm. And the supports have to stay up here. So this is definitely one of those scenarios where he should be dying in order to make space for his team. It's definitely worth it. And he's going for face boots too. He's going to be very, very annoying in this game.
Two ganks happening at once. Big rotation onto Shadow Fiend. I think Dendy is done for. He will be. Up top, they wanted to go onto the Bane, but actually Lil and LeBron rotate mid instead. And the Bane will just play 1v1 against Crystallize.
He's getting a huge wave right now on the Bane.
Yeah, this is a double range creep. This is pretty nice. He'll be his level 5 for sure.
Getting so many levels in this offlane, actually. He's very happy right now getting these levels because Bane doesn't need much other than levels.
DP is actually pulling ahead in this bottom lane. Also, General forced to use another salve. Getting out CS'd slightly. It's really pretty close. Both of them getting a comparable amount of experience. But
it's such a weird lane to watch.
Yeah.
I feel like the Omni would just run at the DP and win with the heal bombs, but
I think Spirit Siphon makes that difficult. I mean, he's got a finite amount of mana as well, which is the other problem.
Yeah, although he does look like he's gonna kill him. Actually.
On his way, this might be the caster's curse right here, Jenkins. With the help of the Wisp, Omni is able to do it. I knew it. I just have that feeling. Like I've played against Omni with these sorts of heroes where like you get the first. Like, it goes well until he gets levels in the heal, and it's like, oh my god, this hero is so annoying. Like, I did some Sand King versus Omni the other day, and I was owning him, and then he got levels in the heal, and I was like, I just couldn't out-DPS his heal. Actually, it looks like Sand King versus Omni is happening bot right now, as you can see. Yep, King R relatively low level. There's the heal from General, but my god, the Sand King, he takes the brunt of it, and they just can't quite finish him off. FNNJ had the Crypt Swarm, but not enough for the kill. Now ready to reinitiate. Lil, he's got a bottle, picks up a bounty room. He's healed up General. General's already quite speedy, and with the Wisp behind him, he can do pretty much the Jenkins strat. Just run at the DP, and there's not much she can do.
You gotta do, man. He's got the level 2 in degen too, so he's got almost 20% movement slow with the face boots and the new AoE on it. That's gonna allow him to hit every time. Like he's gonna be able to run Afro Ninja down.
Arcane Rune on the Terrorblade. He's got meta off cooldown, so expect him to use it. It's pretty big. That's the big cooldown that he has to fight around, especially in the early game. Also a farming tool. Pretty nice find.
I like that he's maxing Reflection. I think that's a really, really good build for fighting, and this lane has had a lot of fighting in it, so you can be very, very greedy and go for the Conjure Image, but then you might just have the SF farm and TP farming. You'd rather, you know, have TP free farm and SF not farm at all. So
Down bottom, Navi with the reaction. Alpha Ninja getting chased down, just barely fogs the Sven stun, but they will connect. Now King R stun, going to be off the mark, compliments of the repel. Afterlife is there with the Fiend's grip, and it's doing a lot crowd control-wise, but Alpha Ninja getting so low. Crystallized just can't get the auto attacks, and the DP will live. Now on the other side, General, he gets stunned. He's going to get brought down, and Navi get completely turned on. It was so close. If they kill that DP there, the fight swings in favor of Navi, but instead, Effect make it happen. Huge game.
They got 3 cores, and TB's free farming mid. That is so dangerous for Navi. That's the feed script that I was talking about with the Sven. It's like it completely destroys that hero.
So many counterplays were made right there. Like Sand King had the perfect stun lined up. Repel comes out just in time.
Repelled, yeah.
As soon as the repel comes out, there's a Fiend script there to stop the Sven from doing damage. But chaos is the perfect word to describe both series that Navi have played today. And in this one, it is not working in their favor. Kuman is here. Yeah. He's ready to fight. He's popped the meta. Still has a lot of duration, but both sides actually opt to disengage. Bottom tier 1 tower does fall. Afterlife going for the maroon. He will get it, but it's a double damage Dendi. Can you say not worth?
Aggro.
No point in Nightmare.
So greedy. It's funny. It's so funny to see that. You know he's feeling like a god in this game because of how much pressure he was applying. And after that Fiend's grip bot, I feel it, man. I feel for him. I've been in the same scenario.
Look at the Terrorblade, my man. 4,500 net worth. Sven at 2,700. It's just non-stop. This tier 1 tower still standing, but we're only 9 minutes in. They've already killed 1 tower. This tier 1 mid is going down next time meta's off cooldown. You better believe it.
Yeah, this is the point where you have a Terrorblade and you're pretty countered by the enemy team, but you're so far ahead that you don't give a damn. And especially with the disables that they have on the side of Effect, I think Terrorblade is looking to have a really, really solid game. I mean, that's obvious, but beyond solid, he's going to be a huge problem for Navi. King R is just getting what he can top. He's actually maxing the Sandstorm on Sand King.
Yeah, Sven. There's the Fiend's grip.
The grip again.
And it's just an easy kill. Witch Doctor is a level 2 Maldic. Even if he somehow survives that 5-second duration, the DOT would have killed him anyway. Ogre, level 5 in the neighborhood. A little warding action going on as Witch Doctor puts down an observer. Good ward. Look at this whole area here. Great ward coverage on both sides.
Up to be a stomp. Like the wards are really, really good. They have a round of items coming soon. Like all of these fights are going so well for them, and Navi basically lost every lane. I think this is gonna.
Great wards for Navi as well, though. Whole river's covered. Jungle has pretty good vision.
Oh, right. Those are okay. So actually, Navi warded their own jungle, anticipating that Effect is going to be very aggressive, which they are.
I mean, both sides have a lot.
Navi needs to make a play. I think. I mean, it's like they need to do something so that they can gain the map control back in this game, because Effect is able to just be so greedy right now. Like, you have so many people farming, and Bane is just running around killing people like they're...
Bane's hasted up. No Fiend's grip. But look at this. It's a race car. He's just chasing the Shadow Fiend. Hits him with a brain set.
What I say about this guy being annoying, you can just see it in the way he was moving in the laning phase. Like, oh god, he's going to be so frustrating to deal with this game.
I mean, the Enfeeble, level 3, it actually does so much in these fights.
Omni TP mid.
Bane gets healed up a little bit. Fiend's grip in 8. Tier 1 tower taking heavy damage. Glyph already been used. And now this thing's going down, baby. No deny. Omni wanted it, but not quite there.
So they got kind of the 2 harder towers to get first, the mid and the safe lane tower. That's pretty good. I mean, for Effect, the yeah, and they ping out this top tower too. Sand King's tanking the tower so the siege creep doesn't die. So Sand King's actually going to get the top tower as well. Although he can't tank it for that long.
Yep, mid-tier 2, just getting chipped at. A little bit of time on meta left. Navi playing this right, very cautious, not handing the tower over for free, but down bottom. It's Alpha Ninja. He's been split pushing this whole time. Exorcism, still a lot of time left, but she could be in trouble. Sven's going to start doing some big-time damage. She's got Spirit Siphons coming out of every side, and she's just too tanky. Now the TP home. Sven does not have the stun, and she makes it. LeBron not able to get there in time.
I did not expect him to be able to live in a 4v1 scenario.
Space
but I guess
created,
that's what happens with one stun. When it's just Sven and Ogre that have the stuns this game, you can just kind of walk away or TP. Yeah, that's definitely space. Did he get damage on the tower? Yeah, it's almost dead.
Yeah, he got a lot of damage on the tower. Tier 1 up
Terrorblade heads top.
also goes down, so this is the byproduct of space he created.
I think they send the Bane to defend the bot tower, although they just Sven ulted. There's an Omni there too. They forwarded it. Yeah, they're just gonna trade, I guess. When you're in a scenario like this, you don't really want to give towers away, but that's a pretty hard tower to defend. There's so much space between the tier 1 and the tier 2 to set up, so it's actually really hard to defend. Although I would probably go defend it and die on the Bane because I'm greedy. But Afterlife, recognizing that the whole team was probably down there, I don't think they lose the tier 2 though. They definitely defend the tier 2.
I think so. The split push is still a little bit hard to deal with. Yeah, TB's up top. He's picked up the Dragon Lance, so he's got some stats now. And meanwhile, mid, it's just the slow siege at this tower. And LeBron just gets a little too close. King R, he's got the Blink Dagger. And now the follow-up stun from the Witch Doctor. He's actually going to drop the Death Ward, and Omni
can grip the Omni
will
here.
not be able to save him.
Oh, Sven took a stack at least. He took a big stack.
I mean, it's something. Is it going to be enough, though?
It's
Afterlife walking across the lane. General, now he gets stunned up. There is a Fiend's Grip here, but he needs to be a little bit careful about how he uses it. Now the relocate. He grabs it on the Sven. Kuman pops the meta. There's the GA from Omni. Perfectly timed. It keeps the Sven alive. Ninja stunned. But still, they've got a full meta. There's creeps already at the tower, and I think Effect can just transition this into a tier 2 tower push.
And Sven got relocated back. He's just going to farm. They don't look to want to defend this.
I mean, they can't.
They don't have the greatest... They don't have the greatest counter push. It's just the SF raises on the side of Na'Vi. I feel like if Effect take an Aegis, this is going to look really, really hard for Na'Vi to defend this next push when meta's up and when the Death Prophet ulti's up. Because how do they defend other than committing? And do they really want to commit to a Fiend's Grip? And to,
I don't know.
Can they defend this Roche?
This is going to be tight. It's a smart play from Effect to try to use most of the duration of the meta. They had to use Exorcism for this to be possible. The smoke gets used, broken by Afterlife. Good positioning from Effect so that Na'Vi don't feel comfortable going in. Roche falls, Aegis goes to Ninja, and now King R connects on 2. There's the repel onto Dendi. He'll channel the ult. It does connect on the entire team, but now Death Ward, the follow-up from Effect. They're doing a lot of damage. Na'Vi on the run. It's spread damage, and they're all still alive. At the end of the day, I think Effect happy to get Roche, maintain the Aegis, and still repel Na'Vi, stopping that gank dead mid tracks.
Really convenient invis rune from the King R. Picked up the invis, walked to the high ground, broke the smoke, burrowed the Omni and the SF. Just like amazing play by him. I mean, that was just so nice, knowing that they would probably defend that because the game gets so hard with that Roche because they know that the next high ground defense is going to be super important. And without having very good counter push, they have to commit to a fight. And committing to a fight into an Aegis is a lot harder. So he knew that they were going to defend that, and he positioned in a way that they couldn't even smoke to get into the pit.
Na'Vi on the back foot. Nearly a 10k net worth lead. Experience a lot closer, but Terrorblade still maintaining that seat as the #1 farmer. Na'Vi doing everything they can right now to get Crystallize up to snuff. He's farming okay, giving the context of the situation, but compared to the Death Prophet, compared to the Terrorblade, he is definitely behind. He picks up the Blink Dagger now, so his reach of initiation has grown, but doesn't really change his damage or ability to stick on targets.
Actually farming really well too. He's a support, and he's higher net worth than the Shadow Fiend. It looks like Crystallize is looking to set up potentially on the Sand King bot, but they don't have any detection on the Wisp, so he would need to stun the creep wave in order to get this SK.
Possible, but a risky proposition and probably not worth revealing for now. They're just going to cut this next wave, probably, and maybe relocate out. Lil is pretty low on mana. He does have the Soul Ring, so certainly has some options, but not the best place to be necessarily.
So what are they waiting for on the side of Effect? They do have Metamorphosis. They have the Death Prophet ulti. I guess the next round of items is something that they're probably waiting for because that's a pretty typical thing to wait for before sieging.
I mean, they're close too, right? Force or Yule's pretty close on Sand King. Big item there. I guess Bane not super close, but Terrorblade only a couple hundred gold.
And they got a
the
Yule's
Manta.
on DP too.
Yeah,
it
and
makes
the Yule's
sense.
on DP.
What's the point of pushing when you have just a bunch of net worth that's not actually realized yet? You know. items really are the realization of the goal that you have. There's no point in having money if you don't spend it on anything. It's worthless, you know.
Yeah, you know, I can't help but feel like, though, the Ogre has been pretty low impact. This was the first pick from Na'Vi. I don't know
Yeah, I agree.
if too many other teams are really prioritizing the Ogre in the same way. And not only just by his net worth, which is pretty low, he just hasn't been able to do a lot. It felt like the Bane was way more of a bully in lane than he was. And they're going to find him right here. Perhaps smoke breaks. They know he's in the neighborhood. Afterlife with the right idea. He can smell him. That Ogre is stinky, but he can't quite see him. There it is. And I'll drop a stun, do it little he can. And the big boy, he's going to get popped. Going on diet.
Bane just showing Ogre that he's the better tanky run at you guy, you know?
Yeah.
Stinky fat Ogre versus some Nightmare. Nightmare wins. Ben's still farming, trying to get to his BKB, although my question is, like, when he gets the BKB, is it going to matter? It's this Bane pick is just making it so hard to be a Sven in this game. That is a gripped SF and a dead SF.
Oh, yeah, there he is. Sorry, I was a little high on that one. Thought the Sven was going to be able to catch some kind of counter initiation, but they just popped Dendy.
He's looking dead. He's going to come back through that portal.
Yeah, hi Wisp. They missed the stun, but does not matter. Wow.
So I was going to say, actually, something that a lot of players do, or a lot of teams do, is they'll try to take a pick off before sieging high ground, even if they have really good high ground siege, just because, you know, you may as well. The enemy team has to farm, right? Like, they can't just not farm. They're going to lose the game. So you can get a pick off while they're farming, and then you push high ground, and it's a lot easier.
Glyph.
And then they just go straight for the middle lane, too. So.
Yeah, Glyph comes out right away. No real option. It's just going to delay a couple seconds. Wisp will be up in 5, but that's a tier 3 tower. Exposed barracks. The TP back from Sven. And I think they'll finish off this mid lane. Probably not too much more, though. Happy with their spoils. They will just retreat. Even going to leave the ranged barracks standing. Low risk, successful push.
Yeah. Yeah, they're not looking to risk things at this point. I mean, this gets them into the grand finals, right? Or is this the next round of the?
No, winner of this goes up against Spirit in the grand finals for seat at the LAN. So this is elimination or grand finals. A lot on the line here. Okay,
so yeah, they're not looking to risk things. They don't even go for the shrine. Actually, that's very surprising. So they're really not looking to risk things. They're probably just going to play around these ultimates, the Exorcism and the Metamorphosis, and I imagine that on each meta and each Exorcism, they're not just going to go push. They're going to smoke and then go for a push, just like they did there. And that's a pretty easy. Okay, so they're going to pick off the Witch Doctor. Crystallize killed him top. Pop the ulti though.
Yeah. It's like a 3 or 4 shot with the ulti on. I mean, Sven's not really fighting like every 60 seconds, so I think totally worth it if you can trade your ult for a guaranteed kill. You never know if that's a Witch Doctor bait or if that's a Witch Doctor that's slightly overextended, so better safe than sorry.
Yeah. Man, I really think Na'Vi need to be smoking. They need to be making plays, because I really think that Effect just needs to smoke on each of these cooldowns, and there's not much that Na'Vi can do. I think if they take a regular defense, they're just going to lose their buildings anyway, and very likely lose the fight anyway as well. So I really think that they need to make plays. That pick off on the Witch Doctor, that's exactly the sort of stuff that they need to do. So I think that they should continue making those sorts of plays.
Yeah.
I think in particular with the SF, they need to be smoking the SF and trying to use the Yule's Requiem on somebody, because there's a lot of magic damage. They could actually potentially kill the TB with that.
Top tier 1 will fall. Dendy kind of moving around the tree line, looking to cut this wave. A risky position, but trying to slow this down so the rest of his team can potentially take this tier 2 up top. And by rest of his team, it's really just the Wisp and the Sven, as the Omni Knight
they have an Arcane Rune on TB.
BKB picked up by Sven. This could be huge, but now the high ground siege. Remember, there is no glyph for the Dire. No, this is very hard to defend. The fight on their turf, even if this ends up being a break-even. Tier 3 down. Crystallize jumps in. 2 BKBs. He brings down 2 almost immediately. The GA to follow the Fiend script, and now Afterlife is going to have to back out. However, this TB is still alive, and he is doing damage. BKBs are down. This Sven is on the run. It looked like such a good start. The burst of damage from Na'Vi was just not enough. A relocate forward. King R with the stun. Kuman trying to get the damage, and he finds it. Crystallizes down. No buyback. The rest of Navi trying to hang on, but Effect now focusing structures. Dendi on the way in, Requiem of Souls. It's going to be there, and Kuman falls. No Sunder. Afterlife gets left behind, and he'll fall also. Takes one out as he goes. It will happen to be Dendi. The barracks stay standing. Navi do not use any buybacks. They get a pretty good net worth gain out of it, so it will be a hold.
That was a really, really good blink stun by the Sven, killing the Death Prophet first, because he knows that if he doesn't do that, the buildings just die. I mean, they did get some buildings, and they got some building damage, but they would have gotten so much more if he had blink stun anybody else. And luckily, he hit a double stun, so he killed the Witch Doctor as well, who could potentially save people with the cask and with the Death Ward. And unfortunately, the Fiend's Grip came in a little too late to stop the Sven from killing the DP. I feel like if the DP survives that fight, oh god, it goes so much worse, but... Really beautiful positioning by Sven, hitting both of those heroes, and he was very careful to wait for that opportunity, and then, you know, took it, and it actually made that it made that exchange be a lot more in their favor than I think it should have been. It's
a big hold, and it gives Navi another shot at this game, but it still feels like they are on the back foot and hanging on by a thread. There's a double damage rune outside the Roche pit. The big guy's coming back relatively soon, so Effect can just wait this out and focus this next fight with the Aegis Cheese.
The timer on Roche. 44 seconds, okay.
Yeah, pretty close.
It's going to be a lot harder to defend against an Aegis Cheese. That was a push. That's why I was kind of thinking that maybe they would smoke before that push, just because it's a little bit safer. But feeling like with that Arcane Rune, they just wanted to go straight into the push, which I can understand the temptation of having an Arcane Rune on Terrorblade or Death Prophet, wanting to just immediately use it. So they didn't go for the smoke, but now they do. So
they have a double damage. So I think they might have the same mentality. Terrorblade very close to the Scotty. He might be able to just pick it up right here, and he does. Scotty plus double damage and his level 15 for extra health. This guy just hit a break point, and they might force the issue. Navi come out. The smoke gets broken. It's King R. He comes over, opens it with a stun, trying to force an early BKB from the Sven. He'll get a Glimmer Cape. It'll keep him alive for now. Maledict falls short, and Kuman goes to the high ground. General getting really low. He might have to pop the GA earlier than planned, but it's not going to happen. He is in big trouble. A beautiful silence from the DP. He does hang on, and now the real fight breaks out. Kuman getting low, but it's Crystallized that's in big trouble. He pops the BKB. Finally, the GA. Now the Sunder. LeBron throws down the Meteor Hammer. Effect doing a lot of damage. It's been a 1-for-1. They lost their DP, but she didn't even get to ult. She does not have a buyback. Now the Epi from King R kills Crystallized. Kuman almost brought down. Dendi falls, and the Death Requiem will find the kill on the TB, but now General gets pushed back, and LeBron trying to delay this. Effect have too many reinforcements, and they will focus the barracks. Dire do have a glyph, but they're not using it. They'll let the bottom barracks fall. It's 2 lanes down as Navi retreat to the well. Effect win the fight. They don't get the net worth game, but they get the barracks, and they will back out here.
It's good for Navi in the sense that they killed the 2 very, very important cores. I mean, for God's sakes, DP didn't even get the ultimate off because Sven just blew him up so quickly. I believe cleaving off of somebody else, and yeah, that's exactly what needs to happen. But unfortunately for them, it's just TB's too tanky. Like, these heroes are too, the HP is too high, and I like what they did at the start of the fight. The way they smoked and they went to they ran into the high ground. They were trying to stop Effect before they even got to the racks, because if they take a fight and it goes that well and they're not by the racks, it's the same thing. They get the advantage, but they don't lose the racks. Unfortunately for them, though, they took the fight because Effect's positioning was so good on that high ground, breaking that smoke, anticipating that with the ward as well, that Navi had to fight in their base. So they end up, despite killing the DP first, which is exactly what you want to do, they still ended up losing the barracks. So that's just the unfortunate thing. So they need to fight outside the base, and it looks like they're trying to do that now. Fighting this Roshan is definitely the right play.
Yeah, Crystallized farming the Ancients very nearby. King R on the low ground. No, wiggle his way over. This is kind of risky for Effect, but Navi pretty spread out right now on Crystallized. Just happy to get the farm that's nearby in his jungle. Daedalus on the way for him as they continue on Roche. Where's that Meteor Hammer coming from? Oh, that's the Bane's Meteor Hammer. Okay.
You know, I really love the way that Effect is trading around this bottle, giving the DD to Terrorblade, even prioritizing this Invis rune to the Bane, giving the bottle to him. They're not just wasting these runes, like, they're all being utilized extremely, extremely well, and that's something you don't see a lot of teams do. They'll just, like, it'll be like, Bane has grabbed an Invis rune or whatever, they'll say it on the left. And it's like, you know, okay, yeah, Bane got an Invis, but they're actually going to use it for the fight. They're kind of understanding that it's not they'd rather use it in the fight than right now. They're not just gonna burn it. They're actually gonna have a use for it, because really it is kind of like a Shadow Blade if you have an Invis rune. I think OG was a team that did this a lot too. They would even pick up a late game bottle and just anticipate that double rune spawn and really utilize those runes almost as if they were an extra item in the game.
Here we go. Effect. Ready to rinse and repeat. It's exactly what you said. Glyph's still available, but they're going to try to take this fight on the high ground so they can at least do some peripheral damage to the structures. FNJ pops the ult. Maybe needs to be a little careful. He has the Aegis this time, but will lose the ultimate. He gets sundered.
Nice.
Kuman eats the cheese immediately, and it's the reset that they needed. Now the GA comes out. Epicenter getting Lil low, and he'll be the first casualty of this fight. BKB GA keeping Crystallize alive, but he just can't do very much damage. The Meteor Hammer comes, and he falls. No buyback on the Sven. Dendi with no choice but to retreat. He's low. And the GG's called. That's it. It's 2-0 for Effect, and they eliminate NAVI from DAC 2018, and they will have a chance tomorrow, one series away against Spirit, to qualify for LAN.
What a laning phase by Effect. I mean, they just the Terrorblade Witch Doctor mid, it just completely destroyed in the Death Prophet bottom lane with the rotations, and I just can't believe they read Navi like a book in those lanes, and boy did it pan out. It seemed like there was nothing that they could do past that laning phase. It was just a stomp, and it was just very methodical. Even with Navi playing really well in those team fights, it was too much. They had too much of an advantage on the side of Effect.
Yeah, I felt like the Sven just fell a little bit flat. You know, if that was a CK, I think the team fight for Navi is very intimidating, but Sven just feels like a shadow of his former self, where he needs so much to come online.
I agree. I think so too.
You know, if he can jump in, get that stun, we saw how much damage he can do. He destroyed that Death Prophet in like 3 hits, but once Effect were privy to that, they had a plan. The Sunder, the Cheese, boom, completely counteracted. That last fight was the dream for Sven. He was G8'd and BKB'd at the same time. Literally immune to the entire fucking world. Still could not find a target to stick on and do that big damage. End of the game,
Dude,
he only did 9,000 damage compared to the nearly 14k of the Terrorblade.
My God, that team play from Effect, sundering and using the cheese.